Hi Stampers, welcome to Great Inspirations. My name is Kim Tolbert and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in southeastern Indiana. I'm so glad you're here today because we are going to take a look at a bundle of products from Stampin' Up! Called Trusty Tools. And this is a die bundle, and that means it contains a stamp set and the set of coordinating dies. Now, of course, as usual, if you don't care for the dies, you can buy the stamp set all on its own, or you can buy the dies separately as well. But when you purchase them together in the bundle, you will save 10%. Now here are 3 cards I made using the Trusty Tools Bundle. And we'll take a look here at the stamp set. As you can see, it's a great stamp set for guy cards, as it has Happy Father's Day, Dad, You're the Most Awesome, and Thank You. But you can also use this stamp set for cards for the gals in your life and even for the kids in your life, because I know there are a lot of children who really enjoy tools and pretending to be mom or dad and working with tools. So this would be great for cards for anybody. So here is a look at the images stamped out with ink and just some different colors. There are 16 stamps and they are photopolymer. This stamp is also a 2-step stamping set, which means you will have outline images, and then there are stamps that will fill in color in those outline images if you prefer. So we have the paintbrush, a pencil, and here's an adjustable wrench, a ball peen hammer, and a tape measure there. And then to go with this stamp set, there are the Trusty Tools dies. And there's a whole lot of them, as you can see. There are 20 dies. And I have, we'll move this for just a minute. I've taken these dies and I've die cut some things because here's our hammer. But with the dies, you can take this part, then another die, put them together, and you can have your two-tone hammer. Now down here is the paintbrush, and there's some paint or even just bristles you can put on your paintbrush. And here are the 2 parts that make up the adjustable wrench, right there. And then these 3 items, this is a toolbox. You get this piece plus a handle, and when you put them together, you can put them together to form a toolbox. And then here, I call these needle nose pliers, and there are 2 dies. These 2 pieces right here are cut out by 1 die, and the handles are cut out with 1 die. And when you put them together, this is what you get. And then the drill, here's the handle part of the drill, and then here is the drill bit. You put them together, and this is what you get. Then, here's the pencil. We have this part, and then to add some color, you can die cut these 2, put them together. Then here's our little tape measure. This is 1 die, and it has the little, I don't know, stopper, clicker, the thing that makes it, pull back in, the tape pull back in. And then here's the actual tape measure. So you put this plus these 2 pieces, which again are 1 die, and this together, and this is what you have. And then, of course, the wrench can be die cut, and there's 1 die that cuts out right here the screws and the nuts. And then there's this piece, and it basically is for like pegboard, and it just cuts out the holes. And as I've put right here, it's about 3 5/8 by 2 1/4. So 3 5/8 inch long and 2 1/4 wide. And it, like I said, it just cuts out these holes. So that's a nice little accent for a card or a card panel. So there is a look at what all you can do with those dies. A lot of dies and a lot of stamps. And like I said, a really nice set for, you know, Father's Day, guys' birthdays, even for maybe anniversaries or thank yous, any reason you can think to send one of the guys in your life a card. But as I also mentioned, you don't have to make them just for the guys. It can be for anyone. So let's just put these things away and take a peek at the cards, because I think maybe I can kind of explain a few things better. So here is a card, and this is a gatefold. It's an offset gatefold. And as you may realize, this bundle, there are so many options, because you can stamp your images and color them in, or do the two-step stamping. You can stamp them directly onto the cardstock, or you can stamp them on cardstock and die cut them. You can put them on colored cardstock, stamp on the colored cardstock, die cut them, not stamp on the colored cardstock and just die cut them. There are numerous things you can do, so that anytime you make a card, you can just change things up a bit and have a totally different look each time. So this offset gatefold is very super duper easy to make, and I have used the Trusty Toolbox Designer Series paper on this card, and that is a celebration item that with a $50 purchase of Stampin' Up products, you can choose this pack of paper that does coordinate with the Trusty Tools Bundle, and you can choose that for free, but only through February 29th. After the 29th, celebration for this year will end. But for right now, if you want to get your hands on some, it is still available. So let's just take a peek at what we need to do for this card. I don't know how many of you have made an offset gatefold. I vary the sizes on my gatefold on the front panels quite often, but this one, I have to remember here. Yes, this is 1.5 inches right here. So that means this is 2 3/4 right here. Now, on my corresponding blog post that I always do for each video, and there will be a link to that blog post in the description of the video, but that is where you will find the supply list and all the measurements and things like that for the cards that I show you on the videos. So for this one, we do have our card base. It's 8.5 by 5.5, and then, you know, we've scored it here at 1.5. Let me see. I don't remember what the other score line is. 5 3/4. So there we go. We're just going to get a bone folder here and burnish our folds. And then we have some of that Designer Series paper. And of course, we'll go right here. Let me get my... I'm going to move that over here a bit. And we'll get some adhesive. And we'll just pop these right on our card. There we go. And now we'll do the second piece. See, this is really easy, but it's just a little bit different of a card. Just kind of changes things up a tad. It's kind of impressive for people who are not card makers to just see something just a little different. So there's that. And then we have our inside. And as you can see right here, I simply stamped the image and used the Stampin' Right markers to color it in. So we'll just put that on the inside. Center it up as best we can. There we go. And now this little flap right here is what we're going to use to kind of hold this down a bit. And we'll only want to put adhesive right here. Now here we go. I have on these images, I stamped them. And then I used the Stampin' Right markers to color them in. And the next thing I did was just adhere them. So let's get some adhesive just right on this side. And I put a little extra just because this is what people will be pulling on to open the card. So we're going to just get it right where we want it. Press down, and there we go. Now I have this little tape measure here, and I have on the back of it some dimensionals, but again, I stamped it, colored it in, and die cut it. So we're going to just take the backs off these dimensionals, and we're going to just kind of position this where we want it, and you can put it wherever you would care to put it. And there we have You're Awesome, Happy Birthday. Now, the You're Awesome, I'm sure you may have seen right here, You're the most awesome. Well, I didn't want the most, so what I did, the first time I did this, I just took a little post-it note and masked the most. But I made several of these cards, so I was getting tired of doing that. So what I did a little stamp surgery, and I just cut the most off. So I have, let me see, what can I put this on? I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But I have You're Awesome, and then I have the most. So when I want to stamp You're the most awesome, all I have to do is just press this back together, and it will go right back together because it's the photopolymer. So that's how I did that. Of course, if you don't want to do any stamp surgery, you can mask, and that works just fine. So that's how I did that card. There we go. Now, this card was a lot of fun because all I used, I did stamp the Happy Birthday, and this is from the Beach Day stamp set, but the only other stamping other than on the inside where I did the You're Awesome and stamped the little nuts and screws, stamped the background, but all of these are just die cut and put together. So let me get that card and all of its little pieces. As you can see, we're going to need some dimensionals. So I got my toolbox and I cut it out in the red, the real red, but I wanted these little holes to be black. So what I did was I took a piece of black cardstock that measures the same as the toolbox here, and I adhered it to the back. And then I put just a little bit of adhesive on each corner at the top so I could put the handle on. And then I taking another piece of cardstock that is the same dimensions as the toolbox, and it doesn't matter what color it is. I just happen to have Night or Navy because I'm going to use this as a backing and make a little pocket so we can set our tools down in there. And I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm just going to put it right here, just along the bottom, and a little bit on each side. Probably didn't need that one there, but we'll get it off. There we go. And we'll fold this one in, and we're going to put this right on top of it there. There we go. So now we can put our tools in, and they should, if I did it correctly, just kind of get this open up a little bit, and this should slide right in. Here's our wrench. I think I wanted to put it in front of the handle. There's that. And the adjustable wrench. We have our drill. And I like, when I do things with tools, I like to use all the different colors because I think guys like colorful cards too. Lots of times when I'm making them, I use browns and greens and blues, but I think they also like some bright colors. And then here are my little needle nose pliers, and I put brad right there. And you don't have to do that. I cut the ends off because they were quite long. And you don't have to do that, but they do work. But they're not going to, because I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of this. I'm going to put it right there over that brad. And we're going to put some dimensionals back here to hold everything together. Put one down here on the drill and one up here, and then I'm going to put a smaller one up on the drill bit, one of the mini dimensionals. Then we'll get one here, and I think I'm going to use mini ones on the wrench. I think it's going to work better. Put one up here. And then we'll get the others to put on our toolbox. We're just going to have a whole bunch of dimensionals, but that's okay. Boy, the tops are coming right off of those. Okay, hopefully they'll come off now when I want them to. Got those. Save that to pop that in a minute. Let's see, how many more do we have here? Not a lot. So now we'll just get our card. And you can just put this wherever you care to put it. I think I'll put it right there. Now we'll take the back off of our little dimensional here and kind of get these situated. And there we go. There is a card, and that's actually, other than, it didn't take me that long to die cut these things and put them together, but the card went together very quickly, so I was quite happy with this card. Now the next card is a little different. It uses the paintbrush image, and I just stamped each of these paintbrushes on some cardstock and did the two-step stamping, which I know it's going to seem like three-step stamping because I stamped the image, then I filled in the handle, and then I put paint right here on the end of the bristles. But basically the two steps means you 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 stamp the outline, and then you stamp anything that fills in the color. So if you can see, we've got some red paint, green and blue right here. It says happy birthday. Of course, I die cut the brushes after I stamped them, and this actually, the little band right there, that, believe it or not, is Smoky Slate Stampin' Blend, because this stamp right here I did with crushed curry that I had stamped off and then stamped, but I didn't like that this band was the same color as the handle. So that's why I decided to use a little Smoky Slate, but it makes it look more of a little bronzy color, which I'm fine with that. And then inside, just enjoy your day. And then a paintbrush that I just stamped on there and did the two-step stamping. So this is also has a little background of some an embossing folder, so that just adds a little more to it. Now, how did I do this, you ask? Masking, of course. And I'm going to use a bigger stamp. I'm going to use this one that says birthday, because this stamp is I mean, it's a good size, but it's kind of small to really be able to show you how I masked. Now on mine, I started with red. I have no idea why, because it's usually best to start with a lighter color and work up towards the darker one, but I didn't. But I will. I'm going to this time. So here's some cardstock. Here's my stamp that says birthday, and I'm just going to use some Post-it notes. You can use whatever you want to mask. You can use masking paper. You can use washi tape. You can use whatever you want. But I'm just going to use this because I know that it will go right here really well. And the first color I'm going to use is the Lemon Lime Twist. And I'm just going to ink. Then I'm going to remove this and move it down just a little bit more. I use some red. It's real red. And I'm just going to go right where I left off. And because this is lighter, it's not going to matter if I happen to get a little of the real red on it or get it on my ink pad. Not sure I got it all inked. There we go. So there's that. Now we're going to remove this. I want to pull my stamp off. And we're going to get the Blueberry Bushel, which is about as dark as the red, maybe a little darker. And we're just going to go right there and get everything inked real nice. Maybe a little more. We'll take our cardstock, and that T does not look inked. Let's try that again. This is going to be interesting. Okay. That's stuck. That'll be fun to get off. Let me get my tweezers real quick. There we go. And there it went. Okay, now let's see what we have here. There we go. Birthday. Colors kind of overlap a little, and that's just fine. So that is how I did the happy birthday on that card. So these are just some ideas for the Trusty Tools Bundle. And again, I think it's just a really nice stamp set to have for guy cards, or, you know, like I said, cards for anybody, but especially for the guys in your life. So let's take one more look. Here's the stamp set. And here are those dies. Again, that's the Trusty Tools Bundle. And here are the cards I created with it. And all of the supplies, measurements, and that kind of thing will be on that corresponding blog post. And the link to that blog post is in the description of this video. I thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, stamp happy.